Hello, my fellow miniature enthusiasts, and welcome back to the Viva Design Miniatures channel. Our dollhouse is finally starting to look like a dollhouse again now that her walls are in and the floors are back in. Last week, we spent the week putting in our wallpaper and it looks fabulous. I'm so in love with the prints. This week, we're going to be focusing on the exterior of the dollhouse. All of the paneling had to be removed, so this week I will be installing new paneling to the side and painting that paneling. We also have some trim work to do, and if we have time, I would love to get to the roof and reinstalling the dormer windows this week. Now that is a lot of work for 1 week, so I'm not sure if we'll get it all completed, but that's the goal, and I'm going to try really hard to get this exterior looking like a dollhouse again. If you've missed how we got to this stage, you can go back to my channel and watch the last 2 videos that include demo and the wallpaper installation. Let's get started on this week's to-do list. So the first thing I'm going to do is check to make sure that my first panel on the bottom is level. If I'm not level down here, I definitely won't be level up here.
I'm using MDF lap siding sheets for the exterior of my dollhouse because this is my display house. MDF is a lot softer than real wood, and I would not recommend choosing MDF over wood for a play dollhouse. Once I had my siding in the correct position, I taped it in place so I could measure and mark where I needed to cut. Adding the siding is much easier before you assemble your house, but I'm dealing with a unique remodel situation here, so attaching the siding after assembly was a necessary evil for me. It wasn't too bad, it just took a lot more time. I mostly use the X-Acto knife for cutouts around the window openings and edges, but I found scissors worked better for the straight cuts. I also replaced the blade a few times to keep everything clean and sharp. Let me tell you, this might look easy, but my hands hurt so bad from cutting all that MDF. I chose to use Titebond wood glue to adhere my panels to the exterior of the dollhouse, and it worked great. I used an old chip brush and painted the glue on just so I could make sure every inch of the back side of the panel was totally covered in glue so that it held very, very securely to the exterior. I really like using Titebond wood glue because it holds very strong and it sets relatively quickly, so I was able to move on to the next panel without waiting too long for the first panel to dry. I used a combination of clamps and painter's tape to hold the panels in place while the glue set. I picked up a bag of these spring clamps from Harbor Freight for about $7, and they were perfect for this application. I was able to alternate sides so that I could attach a couple panels at a time and let those dry in place while I worked on another section, and then came back to that first section once it was dry and was able to add multiple pieces at one time instead of having to wait for each section to dry first. After everything dried, I painted all the siding. I love using chalk paint because it dries quickly, and when it's applied right, it gives a really smooth and long-lasting finish. I've used it for real furniture, kitchen cabinets, and all sorts of projects, and it never disappoints. After the first 2 coats dried, I used a 1000 grit sanding block to lightly sand the surface and then applied the final coat. I'll insert a clip here to show the difference before and after sanding so you can see how much smoother the siding looks. I honestly didn't think I'd have time to finish the roof this week, but I did. I have a full tutorial on installing these budget-friendly shingle strips, so I'll link that video in the description below. I also installed the dormer windows, trimmed out the entire house, and finished trimming the dormers, but I didn't get any footage of that part. I'm in Central Florida and we had a big hurricane come through, so I ended up doing a lot of those small details when the power was out. So here's the latest progress on my Colonial Dollhouse remodel. I'm over 100 hours into this project, and I'd say I'm about 60% done. Next on my list is designing and building the windows and doors. I hope you enjoyed this week's update. Please like and subscribe for more dollhouse content and tutorials, and I'll see you next week.